Well, WikiLeaks has published what it says are documents detailing internal CIA discussions about hacking techniques. Now, it's an embarrassment for America's top intelligence agency and raises concerns over the security of certain electronic devices, like your phone and even your TV. Thousands of documents known as Vault 7 reveal that the CIA has the ability to capture text and voice messages from iPhones, Google, and Android devices. The most worrying leak for personal privacy, though, is the indication that the agency can bypass encryption on popular messaging services. Now, the documents also reveal discussions on how smart TVs can be turned into listening devices for a secret CIA server, even when they appear to be switched off. It's the latest in a long list of classified information from U.S. intelligence agencies revealed by WikiLeaks. Now, the first major leak was the Afghanistan war logs, containing more than 76,000 pages of classified information on U.S. operations there. In the same year, the website published details of operations in Iraq. Many leaks were condemned by the U.S. government, which later launched a criminal investigation into the website. Now, critics say it's lost its neutrality since its dispute with U.S. authorities. That began after founder Julian Assange took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London to avoid being extradited to the United States. Well, joining me now from Washington, D.C. is William Binney. He is a former technical director at the National Security Agency, better known as the NSA. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start with Vault 7 then. Should we even be surprised that government intelligence agencies have the means to bug phones and televisions in private homes?
Actually not. I mean, a lot of this material has already been exposed by a fellow by the name of Martin. He exposed a lot of the attack systems that were in place in the tailored access office at NSA. Tens of terabytes of data of source code showing the attacks, and some of that, I believe, was transferred to CIA. A lot of this, like the compromise in CIA, included something like 700 million lines of code. That's an awful lot of code, and it's out of the realm of the charter of CIA, and they don't really have the backup expertise to do it. But so I think what happened was the attacks were shared by NSA to CIA as a part of giving them the capability to do the attacks too. That would include also the Five Eyes, other countries, GCHQ out of UK and so on, and perhaps even some other European countries that are also participating with them. Plus, of course, any using those techniques to attack other countries, they could in fact drain attack systems or attack methods that they had developed off their servers. And so it's probably a collection of all of that's being compromised here.
Okay, Bill, why should average citizens be outraged here? This is what spy agencies do.
Except, see, in the Charter and in the Constitution, they're not supposed to do that internally on their own citizens. And that's what's really going on. They're not limiting it to foreign intelligence production. They're taking it domestically also.
Okay, I think I need to give a little bit as well about your background, because after 30 years of service, you actually resigned from the NSA following the September 11th attacks because you believed that monitoring programs that you'd helped develop were actually being used to spy on Americans. Now, some would argue that September 11th changed everything, and a lot of American citizens said they were willing to give up some of their rights to privacy in order to better protect the public. Why do you think that's not a valid argument?
Well, it's been a lie from the beginning, and it's been basically a swindle of the tax-paying public of the United States. The idea was that we had a targeted approach that would function and do a professional, disciplined job and actually find and monitor people who should be monitored. If you've noticed that every attack that's occurred since 9/11, even before 9/11, every terrorist attack has been committed by people who were already known by the intelligence and the police organizations. And so, but they weren't able to stop their attack. Why? Because it took an awful lot of money to do this bulk acquisition of data. That was the whole point. That was a money-building, empire-building process for the intelligence community. And so in the process, what that meant was they were burying their analysts in so much data, they couldn't see any threat coming in advance, which meant the threats were actually executed, people died, and then once they found out who did it, they went into the massive amounts of data they had on everybody and found them and then followed up doing investigations on them. That's a police job. That's not an intelligence job. The intelligence community is supposed to predict intentions and capabilities of potential adversaries in advance so that you can do something to stop it. This is not what the bulk acquisition of data is doing. In fact, it's making it impossible for them to succeed.
Is this just incompetent management, or is it intentional? And if so,
Yes,
then to what end?
It's a combination of both those things. Incompetent management. The idea was for money and a bigger budget, a bigger intelligence empire, a lot more contracts, a lot more contractors. It's this military, industrial, intelligence, governmental complex that really Eisenhower was talking about when he left office in 1961.
Bill, let me ask you then what you think from the other side now, from the tech companies. When organizations, companies like WhatsApp say, now we've enforced this end-to-end encryption, you should feel safe, people can't get into your private data. Is it worth anything for them to say this?
Actually not. I mean, they can, at the end point, they can penetrate and pull out all the material that's been decrypted. So it really doesn't make any difference. That really adds no security whatsoever in terms of, I mean, it's pretty clear from some of the material that's been released already from CIA and also from NSA. Okay,
I want to ask you what you make then of the agency, if I can call it that has exposed these Vault 7 documents, WikiLeaks. Do you think WikiLeaks has an honest agenda here, or is what WikiLeaks does now politically motivated?
I don't see it as politically motivated. I think what they're trying to do is expose the truth to everybody in the free world, well, actually, the population of the world, so that people really know what's being done to them or what is really going on, and not the line of the story du jour from the local governments.
Then, Bill, why, as WikiLeaks critics say, they only seem to expose what harms the United States? It never harms what critics of Assange see as allies of Assange himself, including Russia.
Well, I don't know that that's true, but I think that they will expose whatever information they have. If they get information on Russia, I'm sure they would publish it, just like they do on the U.S.
You believe that there's really no political agenda whatsoever to WikiLeaks. So in the United States now, all the talk that the Russians actually infringed upon the U.S. election via hacking in cooperation with organizations like WikiLeaks, there's no merit to that.
I didn't see any evidence of it. In fact, I wrote an article in Consortium News on the 12th of December of 2016 saying that this obviously was I suggested it was a manufactured story because there should be no equivocation whatsoever about it, because NSA's access and capabilities worldwide should have very basically pinpointed all the packet transfers from any place in the United States to anywhere else in the world. They should be able to trace those packets and say exactly who did it.
Okay.
There's no question of that. I mean, and they didn't do that. That's the problem.
Okay. So when it comes to intelligence agencies trying to protect their citizens from terrorist threats, particularly Daesh and Al-Qaeda. Now, Daesh in particular works mostly over the web. What is a better way to go after these terrorist organizations, if not by spying and if not by getting into private servers and busting into their technology via the apps they use, for example?
Actually, it's a very straightforward process. It's a professional, disciplined approach that police have used for many years and intelligence agencies have, except that now they're losing that professional discipline. And this is spread out to other areas too. And that's the real problem here that I see, is that they've lost the intelligence professional discipline to produce effective intentions and capabilities of potential adversaries. They've lost that, and the reason they've lost it is because they've gone into this empire building as the major objective, and not the security and the protection of people of the United States, the free world, and basically stopping terrorists. The whole point of it is if they went back to that professional discipline of focus and targeting people based on behavior and relationships to other terrorists that are known already in the world, then they could follow and be able to monitor successfully these people and be able to see their intentions in advance and alert people to them.
Bill, is there anything ordinary citizens can do to stop this then?
Yes, start complaining to your representatives and senators in Congress, and publicly every time you have a public discussion with them, raise the issue with them directly, saying, why aren't you forcing the intelligence community to stop this bulk acquisition of data on people who aren't involved in any way with any criminal activity, and have the intelligence communities and the police focus on the real known terrorists and their people who are related to them. That's something they already know. It's not something they have to guess about. You could see that after every terrorist attack in Europe, in the US, everywhere. Oh yeah, we knew who these people were in it before, and they were really bad people. Well, if they were, why aren't you focusing on them and watching them closely so you can stop their attacks?
Okay.
That's the whole point.
Bill Binney, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us from Washington.